After a satisfying win in his weight class at the Kern Open in California, powerlifter Larry Wheels Williams heads back home to New Jersey and begins to turn his attention back to his other love, bodybuilding. Though young, Larry is not immune to the wear and tear that powerlifting can cause, and in this video we follow him to Gaglione Strength in Farmingdale, New York to consult with his lifting coach, John Gaglione, about mitigating some of those effects and preparing for the grueling task of readying his physique for the bodybuilding stage for the next 6 months. The question is, will this switching back and forth between two disparate disciplines be a help or a hindrance to Larry's dual careers of strength versus physique?
For the rest of the year, I'm taking off for powerlifting training. No more squats, benches, and deadlifts. I want to unload my spine, my joints, focus on my conditioning and hypertrophy work for my next bodybuilding show in November. The last 4 to 6 weeks, I've been doing singles and triples. I've been hitting the gym maybe once, twice a week. I've been dealing with some inflammation in my thoracic spine, making me incapable of doing the entire workout my coach had prescribed for me. So I would just, for example, squat every other week and deadlift every 3-4 weeks, just so that I can go into each training session feeling recovered.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh shit!
So the idea of today was to train my quads and my weak points, hamstrings, glutes, take pressure off my lower back and T-spine. These are all movements today that I haven't been doing in the last couple of months. So this is all to my body feels new right now.
I'm sure, and when you're doing these, try and move one segment at a time and be really deliberate with the control and where you're arching. Because I know you're a little bit more locked up here, right? So the stuff he's doing is extraordinary, but it's it does take a toll on your body, lifting that kind of weight all the time. Being young is a double-edged sword, because you can get away with a lot when you're young. You can get away with a lot. Your recovery is going to be a lot better. For example, using bad form on a lift, kind of rounding your back too much, kind of yanking the bar when you deadlift, maybe kind of bouncing too much with a squat, putting pressure on your knees. And a lot of these things, are mechanical wear and tear, so your muscles might be able to support it, but your joints, if your joints are starting to wear out, they're going to wear out. You can even take a breath when you're fully arched, and then you can kind of exhale as you're starting to round. And exhale as you're rounding, and just kind of use your breath to help kind of get a little bit more range of motion out of your back. If you're young, maybe you could handle it now, but is that going to be sustainable long term? Larry's frequency is pretty low, but he's using such incredible poundages, so actually prioritizing more rest and recovery for longevity has been a huge thing, and just because you can doesn't mean you should. We're a little bit more of a proponent of the least effective minimal dose. What's the least I can do to continue to make progress? Because that's going to produce a less wear and tear in your joints, and some of the things that we're going to be working on with Larry in this off season, we want to focus on unloading his spine, actually getting away from the barbell from a little bit, just unload the spine, because you're under that compression all the time. So doing some things maybe traction the spine and kind of unload it and still give you a good muscular stimulus. Well, you're definitely moving a lot better from a couple weeks ago even.
Get more range in my shoulders.
It's one thing you do with you just doing some rotations.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could pinch that, and what that'll do is help lock your kind of torso and lower back in, so you're getting more just rotation from the upper back. So, but you just it could be gentle, but just a little squeeze with the inner thighs, brace your stomach a little bit. That way we're getting the motion from your upper back, not your lower back. So that's what we want to kind of unlock those T-spine segments and make sure you're kind of more grounded with your lower back, and we're not getting the rotation from there. So, So anytime you're doing a thoracic rotation, that's good. You can use a foam roller or a pad or something to kind of ground your lower back a little bit more. Arms overhead. So let's do a little hip stuff. Again, we want to keep pelvis neutral here. Big reach, squeeze your back glute. Try and get long, get a little stretch here. When you take a deep breath, exhale, we're going to bring palms to the ground inside the front leg. Okay, we're going to work on the ankle range of motion a little bit, because we want to Get the ankles moving because we're gonna do some deep squats with the belt squat today, work the quads. So what you do is just grab your foot with your hand. And you wanna make sure that the heel stays down. I want you to drive your knee forward as far as you can while keeping your big toe and heel on the ground, and then rock it back. So let's do that a couple of times, like 5 or 6 times. Just wanna get some more range of motion at the ankle while keeping the heel and the big toe down. Try and keep your hips as square as possible while you do that. Because we want to get some, like I said, get the ankles prepped for squats today. Good, once you're done with 5 or 6, you can kind of keep both hands to the ground. Stretch the groin a little bit if you want to go a little bit deeper. And we're going to work on that thoracic rotation like we've been doing. So you can bring your back knee up toward the ceiling, keep your toe on the ground, so bring this back leg up. And we're going to rotate this inside arm up toward the ceiling. Pinch here and just hold. Take a deep breath. Exhale, back down to the ground. Hold for a second. Back down to the ground. Good. Back down. Good, you can drop your back knee and bring the arms back overhead. And we're going to switch legs. Good, arms overhead. Get nice and tall, get long. Let's feel that front hip open up. Deep breath. Exhale, arms to the ground. And we're gonna do that ankle rocking again, so just grab that heel and drive the knee forward and back, keeping the heel and the big toe in contact with the ground. Again, just trying to get those ankles prepped for squats. Because we're gonna want to focus on the big toe, little toe and the heel in good contact, so we have good grounding with our squats. So we're nice and stable from the bottom. We're definitely gonna be working on good depth today, getting good activation in the quads, build up those legs, and build up a little strength in the bottom. Good, arms to the ground. We're gonna hang out here for a little bit, keep the groin open. Back knee comes up. And this time I'm going to rotate up with this arm. Working on that rotation again. Deep breath. Exhale, back down. And we'll do that one more time. Deep breath, hold. Exhale. Back down, and arms come overhead. Good. Let's stand up tall. So we're going to focus on rooting your feet in the ground. So grabbing the ground, really spreading your toes, rooting your feet into the ground, twisting the floor apart. I want you to hinge back, stretch your hamstrings a little bit, reach out with your arms and reach with your butt. Get a little stretch here. Good, touch your toes. Pull yourself down and use your hands, bring your hands together. Use your elbows to pry open your hips, lift your chest. Good arch here. Want a little bit more straight back. So work that arch here, best you can. One arm to the ground. Turn and reach. Pull that chest proud. Switch sides. Back to the center. Arms overhead. Squat up. Good, we're gonna do that 2 more times. Trying to open up get the back a little more neutral. Hinge back, touch toes. Pull yourself down. Prayer position. Let's try and get a little bit more of a upper back arch here. Good, that's better. Lift the chest even more. Push the knees apart. Good, let's do the rotation, 1 per side. Take your time, get a good breath once you're in the end range of motion, own the movement. Try and keep your chest up the whole time. Arms together again, arms overhead, squat. Good, we're gonna do 1 more. Good, 1 rotation per side, nice and slow. Just opening up the groin, open up the upper back for those deep squats today. Getting the body prepped in those positions. Nice work. Okay. Raise up your arms. Good. Knees up. Feet off the floor. Toes pull toward your shins. Just push into this hand a little bit. Just gently. Extend this leg out nice and slow with a good brace. Brace harder. Back to center. Good. Exhale. Breathe in, tighten up, other side. Harder, harder. Good, break in, back in. and relax, good. So we're gonna brace, good, we're gonna flip over. All right, we're gonna extend opposite arm, opposite leg. Good, brace here as hard as you can. Squeeze your ass. 3, 2, 1, switch sides. So we're gonna activate in the glutes and get in a good brace. Brace hard. 3, 2, 1, good. All right, we're gonna do a little bit different now. So we're gonna do a fire hydrant on this side. So just bring your knee out to the side a little bit. Just lift it off the ground and then push out. Try and not move your pelvis at all. Just move your hip. Go. Okay, not bad. Bring this arm up to the side. Right here. Good, go. Brace hard. Relax, good. Other side, we'll work on that one a little bit. And arm out. Good. So we're getting a little shift here, so we're gonna work on that. And relax. Let's do one more per side. I want you to pretend like you got a glass in your back. We don't want to spill the glass. So this is gonna remain neutral the whole time. Just move your hip a little bit. Get that glute, the outer hip active. Good, go. Better, good, other arm. Hold, brace, 3, 2, 1, switch sides. Go. Good, so we gotta work on that a little bit, other arm. Good, so one thing we're gonna work on when we're doing some of the stability drills is making sure we're like limiting motion here and maximizing motion at the hip. Okay, that'll make sure that everything up the chain. Because even if this is moving around, Larry, too much, then you're still gonna have more pressure where you're actually getting the pain, you know? So we wanna really work on locking down the low back and moving at the hips. All right, stand up. Make sure it's like that. Good, stand up. Good. So what I want you to do is lower yourself slowly. Just get into a deep squat, but make sure that, again, we're not letting the pelvis tuck under. Just keep a neutral spine. You don't need to arch or anything. And I want you to think about driving straight up out of the hole. Don't let your hips kick back out of the bottom because we want to focus the attention on our quads, okay? So let's do 5 just to warm up. So we want your shoulders and hips to come up at the same time out of the bottom. We don't want your hips to kick back and your hips to rise first. So be really strict with it. Good, so we want to really keep the focus on our legs and build up the legs. So that's going to help kind of build up that squat and also give you some more hypertrophy, some muscle on the legs, help with your bodybuilding show. After a really heavy contest, a lot of these Russian lifters, they might do swimming, they might do other sports, they might do other things that are like just really far away from their sport. It also gives them a mental break. It gives their body a physical break, keeps things fresh. And if you can kind of build a little bit more of an aerobic base and just more general fitness, it's going to allow you to have like a higher base of your pyramid. It's going to allow the body to handle more work, handle more volume, handle more frequency like we talked about. If you're always doing the same things over and over, so actually bringing up his legs for bodybuilding is going to actually go hand in hand with actually improving his weak points for powerlifting as well. So we'll just do like a set of 10. And we're going to superset these with some terminal knee extensions. That'll be a little bit more isolation movement, just to really get the quads pumped with blood. So probably do 10 here and then 10 knee extensions, which I'll show you in a second, but 10 reps. One perfect form, really upright, using the quads, drive you out of the hole. And drive up. Slower on the way down. Use the arms as little as possible. Have your shoulders be the first thing that rises up. Good. Push through the platform. Good. How's that feel?
Feels all right.
Good. Push forward. Unclip yourself, and then we're going to go right over here. So just put one leg through here to start.
How so?
Just right through the loop. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing with the other side. And then we'll just make sure the tension is even. Okay, you're going to hold the pole for balance. Now you're going to, I want you to walk back to get more tension on the bands, so your heels are on the black part. Okay. So this is a very simple movement, but you may not have done it before, but basically we're gonna do a knee extension. So this is gonna be isolation for the quads. We're gonna drive the knees forward without bending the hips. So I'm not gonna bend the hips at all. Knees come forward, and then you're gonna pull the band back with your knees. So think about like almost like locking out a deadlift. So you're gonna flex your quads and your butt. And let's do that 10 times. So this is gonna help kind of pre-exhaust the quads a little bit. Just isolation movement. So we're actively pulling the knees backward, trying to stimulate the quads and really isolate the legs. So again, we're trying to keep the hips pretty much locked out the whole time and just bend the knees forward and back. So this is the terminal knee extension with the band. Supersetting on the belt squat, really trying to bring up the weakness there. So after you're done with 10, you could relax and you could take your legs off the bands. Good. And we'll take a little rest, and then we're going to repeat that a couple of sets, okay? This is good, just like, because it's like easy, it's easy on your body, but you get like a lot of benefit from it. Some of the things that Larry's doing with using the bodybuilding and the powerlifting together, having him be a little bit leaner, taking some time to unload his spine, taking some time to actually keep his weight a little bit lower. I think it's actually going to make him have more longevity in the long run than just the powerlifter that's constantly trying to force feed, trying to gain weight for the sake of just gaining weight. Good. Drive straight up. We'll do like one more set of these. Good, just keep pressure down on the heels, knees forward, knees back. Really think about straightening out the knees, flexing the quads at the top. Okay, let's take a little rest. And I'll do one more set of these. And drive straight up. Push through the platform. Push through your legs. One more. Good, hold right there, don't move. Keep going. Good. Drive through your legs. Shoulders first, good. One more. Good, push forward. Good. This is gonna be like an added twist for this last set. So I'll kind of like walk you through it. Let's put that a little higher. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3. You can walk your hands down, squat straight up, okay? So this is gonna just fatigue your quads a little bit even more. 1, 2, one more. And you can walk your hands down if you need to, squat all the way down, like ass to your heels, and drive straight up. Good, now repeat. 1, 2, 3, one squat, and I want to do one more round of that. Drive up, and then 1, 2, 3, and then one more squat. Good, relax. Good, so we got good clearance between your knee and the pads. Let's just come all the way down. Yeah. Just come all the way down. All the way down. Knee straight to start. So we're just gonna get a good stretch in the hamstrings. Let's just practice this, the first part, just the back extension. So just come up and squeeze your butt. So just come up to parallel, squeeze your butt. And try and do that with your knees straight, just to start. Like, just come up, squeeze your butt. Feel okay? Yeah?
Feels all right.
Okay, good. Let's go one more. Good. So now if that's good enough right now, we could just stay there, or we can progress all the way up.
I would stay there for now.
Okay, good. Let's just stay with the back extension. Let's work your hams and glutes. Let's do 8 of those. Good. And I want you to try not to arch too much. Just focus on your hips extending, squeezing your glutes. Good. Reach, and then drive through here. Think about your hips driving into the pad. So driving your hips forward, squeezing your butt, and that'll naturally raise your back up. Good, let's take a little rest. So the first kind of series was a little bit more like quad and anterior dominant. So this is gonna be more posterior dominant. And we're gonna work your glutes and hamstrings a little bit more. Because you tend to use your lower back a lot, so we wanna get a little bit more emphasis on your legs. So we're gonna put your shoulders on the pad here, face up. So we wanna try and keep the trunk pretty neutral the whole time and just have your hips extend. So you're naturally your body's gonna kind of come back a little bit, go a little wider, so like your squat stance or so. Try and keep your big toe on the ground the best you can. We're gonna drive the knees out, push the hips up and hold. Go, a little higher still, and you can just lean your head back naturally. So we're gonna keep this hold, 3, 2, 1, back down, up. Let's do 15 of those. Hold, and just do a little 3-second hold. As you're coming up, drive the knees out. Good, so we want neutral, so shoulders, hips, knees in a straight line at the top. Squeeze your glutes, good. So just do like 10 to 15 of these. Then we'll take a little rest. So we want to try and like train our glutes to be a little bit more active, so that way we don't have to use our lower back so much when we're extending those heavy deadlifts, heavy squats. So getting the glutes a little stronger, a little more active. Good. And if you can start to feel your hamstrings take over, then we can cut the set. We want emphasis on the glutes, okay? Good, so you take the band off, take a little rest. So it's like a lot of times, this is the little stuff like building up those weak points, like in the off season is gonna be important. So you can kind of build a bigger foundation so you can recover a little bit better from like the heavy stuff. So we're kind of like attacking all like those weak points that you're not like kind of used to using muscles that you haven't used like in a while.
Right.
You know?
Like learning to ride the bike.
Yep. So especially when we're doing these with just your body weight, again, we want to focus on trying your glutes and your hamstrings to do more of the work and keep your lower back kind of out of it. That way you can kind of keep it a little bit less active. So you're not just having like lower back pumps all the time. So get a big reach, stretch the hamstrings, keep the legs pretty straight, and then I want you to think about driving through your hips, squeezing your butt to raise your back up. So think about driving your hips forward, and that'll naturally raise your back up. Good. Good. Let's try and get that body parallel, nice neutral spine as you finish. Let's get one more. Hold, down slow. Good, relax. Good. So again, 10 or 12 of these. Driving the hips up, trying to keep your shoulders, hips, knees in a good straight line. Squeezing the glutes to the top, driving the knees out. Let's see it. So working on extending the hips, using the glutes. Trying to take your lower back out of it, bracing the trunk. Good. Let's get a little longer hold at the top, squeeze the butt. Good. Let's drive the knees out harder. There you go. Let's get 3 more. 3, 2, 1. Squeeze your butt. Drive your knees out, spread the floor, back down, last one. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Good. Nice job. And then, as you know, Larry, like when we're doing these like little smaller isolation exercises, might give you like a rep range, kind of a guideline, but it's more important that you're really engaging and feeling the muscle. So, you know, when we're trying to build up a weakness, or especially in your bodybuilding training, you want that kind of mind-muscle connection. If you're kind of just going through the motions and you don't really feel the right muscles activating, you're not going to get like as much like out of it. So something like this, when we're really trying to feel our glutes work and our hip rotators work, if we're feeling that too much in the hamstrings and low back, you're better off like cutting the set and making sure you're getting more quality repetitions. So that was a good job. Let's get a little more water on you. 1 rep's a lot easier, right?
Sure is.
That's why the bodybuilders don't get enough credit.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's definitely a different sensation than like a heavy single for sure.
No adrenaline rush.
Yeah, it's definitely different. So we're gonna do some different things, kind of work your hips, your quads, and just kind of everything, and also just general conditioning. As we're gonna start to, increase a little bit more volume in the training, want to make sure you're in shape to like handle it. So we're gonna kind of just get that heart rate up a little bit more. It's gonna be kind of a little little challenging on your lungs, but it'll be the payoff will be like worth it. So when we're doing the hip circle walks, we want to push off the hip. So we're going to hip. So as we stretch the material, that's going to engage all our muscles in our abductors and outer hips. So we're going to kind of walk diagonally, get a big push, load and push, load and push, load and push, just like that. So we're going to walk down and back. So we're going to go all the way, the whole length. So let's try that. So just kind of walk a little diagonally and then get a good push. Squat a little lower, good. So we're pushing off, pushing off. You can kind of almost kind of come together a little bit and just kind of feel tension on the band. Go a little wider with your feet. You feel that in the kind of outside of your glutes. You feel that, Larry? Yeah. Good. And then back. So this is really good for helping like your squat stability in the bottom as well, and kind of build up a little bit of muscle on the side of your legs and the outside of your glutes. Back on later, that's fine. So let's grab the straps. We're gonna get in a little bit of a lower position and kind of lean your body weight backwards a little bit. We're gonna keep the arms nice and long. And we're just gonna do very short, deliberate steps. This is gonna also work the quads as well. When you're ready. Yeah, nice deliberate walk. So we're getting those little knee extensions in, working the quads. Keep going. You go a little faster. So this is good for like just general overall conditioning, building up work capacity, and also that's good leg strength. This is also great because there's no eccentric component, so it's very low impact. So it's great for off-season work. And now we're gonna keep the handles here. So let's get in a good athletic stance, 45 degrees. You can kind of bend your arms a little bit here. Yeah, squat down low. Okay. Just keep one foot on either side of the strap. Oh, okay. And you want you to be on your toes. Okay. So you're gonna kind of push off the balls of your feet. That way you're gonna work your calves a little bit too. So let's get a good push. This is gonna be kind of a little harder. Good, one step at a time. So we gotta get low. So yeah, get low, good. Nice job, Larry. So now your calves are gonna have to stabilize and push off as well. Keep going. Keep going. Almost there, almost there, almost there, almost there. Nice job, and relax. Good work. So we're gonna do side steps. It's gonna be a target a little more emphasis on the outside of the leg. So we're gonna face this wall the whole time. We're gonna go there and back facing the same direction. So the emphasis is gonna be pushing off the left leg going this way, and then when we come back, pushing off the right leg, okay? So we're gonna go there and back. Good, a little good quarter squat position. Grab, making sure your toes are kind of straight ahead, so we're really working, we don't wanna kind of duck out our feet too much, we wanna really work abduction, so just side step, okay? And push off the left, push off the left. Good, a little short choppy steps. Hip circle is great for loading the stuff in the frontal plane. Good, and back the other way. It's gonna really help that stability out of the hole in squats. Keep those hips healthy. Building up the side of the leg. Try and keep those toes straight ahead the best you can. Two more, 1, 2, good, hip circle off. Good. Try and squat down a tiny bit lower. Get a good push. Good. Nice work, good. Stand on the balls of your feet. Got one more step. There you go. Good job. No half reps here, right?
That's right.
How'd you even you got a bicep pump from doing legs? Geez, I wish I could do that. Lucky man.
So how difficult it is. Every muscle in my body.
Kind of goes to show you, though, joking aside, that some of these compound lifts are really just great for working the entire body. There's going to be emphasis on certain muscle groups, obviously, but you're really working your entire body when you're doing like these squats, these presses, these pulls. It's good for getting everything strong. it's hard, but it's easy on, like, it's not really like loading your spine up too much. You're getting a good muscular stimulus, but you're not really overloading your spine. And you can still get a great benefit from doing a lot of this stuff, and it keeps you kind of in one piece. That way you can handle a little bit more work going into like the next peaking cycle, you know, for your next contest.
I feel like a couple years ago, I was in the 240s, now I'm in the 270s, almost 280s, and the heavier I get, the more emphasis needs to be put on my conditioning and my mobility for longevity.
That's why I've just been walking more and stuff, and especially like, obviously like when you're 4 to 6 weeks out from a meet, you know, the strength training, the heavy singles has to be a priority. But like right now we have some time, so just, you know, rest is good, but active rest is even better. So just doing things to kind of keep you healthy, get your work capacity up, improve your aerobic capacity, that's going to be important like in the off season, you know. This kind of stuff is great because it's also stimulating your muscles. You're still giving your joints a break, so you're resting and recovering in that sense. It's not always fun as taking a heavy single, right? But this is the stuff that this is where the real work happens in the off season, you know. This is a kind of the behind the scenes stuff that you know, a lot of people aren't always showing you. So, but it's the kind of stuff that keeps you like in one piece, you know. Learning to like really individually fire certain muscle groups and be healthy, and just, you know, making sure that, you know, you're not always, especially in powerlifting, we're always like lower back is so involved in everything. So like learning to give your lower back a break and learning to fire using your hips and learning to move at your hips independent from your spine. It's like so important to be able to like kind of lock that trunk in and actually get your hips moving. A lot of times, you know, hips get locked up and then you start to compensate, and that's like when a lot of the lower back tweaks and stuff like happen, you know. Okay, we're gonna bring our legs behind us. Great. So this is going to be kind of challenging, so we're going to do these very slow. A couple of things that we're looking for is we want our rib cage always stacked over our pelvis. So we don't want to be side bending, we don't want to be overarching, and we don't want to be flexed. So we just want to be neutral. Okay. So in order to get neutral, we're going to have to keep our glutes engaged and a good brace. And our shoulders and our lats engaged. So our lats, the muscles in our trunk and our abs and our glutes are all going to be working together to help keep that trunk nice and stable. So this is good like lower back kind of prevention, lower back pain prevention, and just core strength, core stability. So we're going to bridge up in a good side plank position, but with the feet are going to be backwards, so just short lever we call this. So bring the hips up and forward. And head back, so we want a neutral spine. Bring the hips a little higher. Still, you can keep your knees together to start. Good. Hips a little more forward. Good. Now, very slowly, I just want you to lift your top knee up just a tiny bit. And now we're going to put a little bit more pressure on that down hip, okay? So we're going to hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, back in. And you can give yourself a rest. Good. Hips up. Hold. Head back. Top knee comes up. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, back in and back down. Good, we're going to flip over, switch sides. Top knee comes up, hold, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, back down and back down. Good, hips up, hold, leg comes up, and 5, 4, 3, 2, good, relax. Nice job. Okay, now just hold that. Now very slowly, I don't want your hips to raise up or come down. Slide back and slide forward very slowly and back in. Hold, hips reset your body. Come back up. Higher, good. Slowly slide back and forward. Let's do that one more time, good. Slide back, slide forward, hold. 3, 2, 1, back in. Good. We're gonna do one more set of that and then call it a day. So I can see you're getting a lot of good activation, but your endurance is not so like great, right? So we want to improve that. So your strength is really good right now. Obviously, you're coming off the meet, but your work capacity is a little low. The actual muscular endurance is a little low, so we want to start to bring those up so you can kind of handle more work moving forward. Okay.
This is all to my body feels new right now, and my conditioning is horrible. It felt like I ran about 5 miles. My heart rate was pounding through my chest, but it felt good, and I know this is going to get me to where I need to go. You know, so this is necessary.
So I want you to maintain this. Good. Slide back. Don't let your hips drop. And come up. Reset if you need to. We'll do 2 more. Hips up. Good. Don't touch me. Good. Go. Don't let me touch my fingers. You're grazing me. Relax. 1 more. So you really concentrate on not touching my fingers. So we're keeping those hips high. Come up. Hold. Start here. Good. Go. Slide back and forward. Hold. A little better. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Nice job. He is, I think, progressing at a rate that is outstanding. But I think that, I mean, I just know that he has so much potential, and he's still learning. He's still getting better. There's still things that he could get better with. Just getting your brace a little bit harder. If you can get like those trunk muscles a little stronger and a little bit more stable, and think about how much, if you could brace a little bit harder, how much more you'll be able to lift. You know, so it's untapped potential there.
John is really good at eyeing the points I need to work on. He's also good at eyeballing where I'm compensating. Having a coach watch you closely, he sees things that you don't, and when you're recording yourself, you're only seeing yourself from one angle. You're not seeing from the side and from the back. John's like walking around me in a circle, looking at me from every direction, and you can't do that recording yourself.